Hi, this is Abe with the That Ain't Test Like a TI here. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Topic I'm going to talk to you today about is Drew. Drew Sidora was on the We Sound Crazy podcast about 3 weeks ago. I finally got a chance to look at it a couple of days ago. The hosts were Philip, Billionaire, also Claude, and then the last host was Tommie. They were all three guys. Now, Phil said he was a producer and a writer. Claude said he was an artist, musician, and writer. And Tommy said that he was an artist. So, Phil, which he calls himself Philmoillaire, but anyway, Phil, he introduced Drew. He said, "You're a powerhouse. You're an actress. You're a singer. You're all around talented." She said, "Whoa, wow, that was a great introduction," and I kind of agreed. And then after that, he said, "Drew, tell us a little bit about yourself." He said, "We're going to show you some pictures. And when we show you the pictures, tell us where you were at this point in time in your life." And so he showed a picture of this guy. And she said, "Oh, I know him. He's from That's So Raven." And they said, "Yeah, where y'all at this place?" She said, "I don't know. We were at some kind of event, red carpet thing." And Bill said, "No, it wasn't a red carpet thing. Y'all was at a concert." I said, "Oh, a concert." She said, "Yeah, I remember it now since you brought it back to my memory and stuff like that." And then he said, "What about this picture?" She said, "This picture right here is the picture where I was gonna step it up." And she was saying that was a real hard thing for me to do because I had to learn how to dance. And she said once I went to dance class and started doing choreography, they told me I had to come back the next day and I practiced. And when I came back the next day, I thought I was gonna be dancing by myself. And they said no, you're gonna be dancing with a partner. You're gonna have a partner. And she said, "Who's gonna be my partner?" And so when she looked up, she seen it was Sean Paul. And she said, "Oh, him? Okay, we can dance together." And then she said, "No." They told her, "You can't dance together. You got to dance on him." She said, "Dance on him." She said, "I didn't know." So she said he started out first, doing his little dance move. And she said she just kind of went with the flow. And then she did a little this and a little that. And she said they really didn't like that, but she said she was surprised she had to dance on top of him and grind on top of him and for that stepping up song and music video. And then he showed her another picture. She said, "Oh, that's when I did the PO the TLC biopic." And when I played left eye, like I said, I started moving 3 or 4 times, but I didn't know that was Drew Sidora playing her. Because she looked so young and pretty, I didn't even know. I was just saying that it was good casting that they got that girl to play. I think she played either left eye or T-bars, one, two, I can remember. But anyway, I watched that movie 3 times when it first came out. But anyway, back to the show. And so she said, "Yeah, I had to really go ahead. It's hard playing somebody that you kind of look up to, and you was going, and you were almost with." And she said, "Yeah, the director told me that that I was gonna be good for the movie. There was so many other girls that I thought were gonna get the movie, and I was so glad they called me." And she said, "Yeah, I had to, yeah, I had to do, a lot of stuff." And then she said, "I was trying to make sure that I played the role of I think it was T-Bars and left eye very good, and it's kind of a lot of pressure on you when the people that you're portraying that biopic are right there watching you." And she said T-Bars was giving her tips, tell her, "Nah, she wouldn't do this. She wouldn't go that way. Left eye wouldn't do this part. She wouldn't." He said it was good. It was good tips, but it was also pressure. And then he showed another picture. He said, "What is this picture?" She said, "Oh, this is the picture when I was in the game, when I got in the game." She said, "Don't you know I originally was supposed to be a reoccurring role on the game. I was just supposed to be like a one and done." She said, "But everybody started liking me, and then Mara Brock liked me. And then Mara Brock was the one who decided to put my real name in the thing." And the other guy said, "Yeah, there's a whole lot of people talking about it." that they you know, we're getting a whole lot of slack for that because a lot of people say they can't get over the fact that you took Darwin from med school. And she said, yeah, she said that's so that is so crazy. I mean, she said because that was like what 15, 20 years ago, something like that. People still talking about that. She said those were characters, and stuff like that. And Tommie said, "Well, you know how some people are. You know how some people are." You say, "Okay, what's the next picture of Drew?" And she said, "Oh, this is a movie I did, another movie I did, and stuff like that." He said, "Oh, okay." He said, and he said, "Drew, if you had to do everything over and all this stuff, and you were giving advice to an aspiring actress or somebody who's trying to get in the industry, what would you tell her?" She said, I would tell them to be prepared, be prepared by honing on in your craft, going to classes and stuff. She said, don't you know, I was my mom and dad, you know, my mom see me in the mirror singing and stuff, and my dad did too, and so what did they invested in me? She said, I was going to Richard Pryor school. I was going to Richard Pryor School for acting. She said, because Richard Pryor that started the acting school, and I went there to work on my craft, work on my craft. She said, that's what you got to do. If you're passionate about something, work on your craft and be consistent about it. She said, because you're going to get a whole lot of no's before you get 1 year. She said, I was so tired of getting all the no's that when I did get the yes, for stepping up, and then it went from stepping up to That's So Raven, and then the game, and then and this stuff just went on. But she said, "Don't you know it's hard out here in the business?" He said, "Yeah." She said, "He said, what about your record career? Your record career?" She said, "Oh yeah, I thought I had a record deal at one time, and sometimes your team is the one that stops you from getting your record deal and this and that." And and, and Thomas said, "Huh? What?" And then Phil said, yeah, it's like this sometimes. And she said, you know what? I went in there and I thought I had a deal. And my manager said something, and label said, no, that's all right. Thank you for your time. And she said, I was so mad. He said, you ain't probably ain't got that team. No, he said, no, I fired the whole. He said, no, I fired the lady. I fired that whole team. She said, your team got to be behind you 100% and stuff, and making sure that they getting you the right deals and not messing up deals. I said, oh, you sure is right about that, Drew. And so she was saying that that she that she was doing some kind of movie, and she was saying if the director and the producer don't like you, then you're in trouble. Cause she was saying he kept saying that she wasn't prepared. She was missing her steps on the blockers. And she would say, I've been acting before. She said, I always go my line and do my line. And she said, I talked to my manager about it, and my manager said she was going to come. And she said, my manager came a couple of days before it was time for me to go on, and she was just sitting there like a bystander, whatever. And she saw where certain people were moving certain people's marks and taking up the tape and stuff. And she told me about it. And I mentioned it to what you call. So I did that, and the man said, "Ooh, yeah, that's discrimination." And she said, back to the record label. She said, "Yeah, when I tried to get another record contract, they just couldn't see me because they saw me as a girl on Stepping Up." And she said that was just so shocking to me, and that's one of the reasons why my music career didn't take off like it is. And Phil said, but you still doing things, Drew. You making moves, you doing. She said, yeah, I am, and stuff like that. And so he said, let's play a game. So he played a game called What Would You Keep? What Would You Keep and What Would You Kill? And the main one that I like what she said. They should kill. They should kill. Talking about people's kids and husbands. She said they should kill that on reality TV, and then she also said that they should that they should that they should that they should kill people going below the belt. And I was saying, yeah. And she said, yes, some people go so low below below the belt And that's why he's not on the show right now. And everybody knows she's going here in Kenya. And then after that, he told Drew, are you gonna be starting the drama this year? And Drew said, no. A lot of people been saying that. He said, but I'm not the one to start the drama, but I'm always in somebody else's drama. She said, what about this? She said, yeah, the Real Housewives of Atlanta gonna be real good. He said, that's all you can tell me. She said, yes, all I can tell you. He said, Drew, you did a great interview, and we like your interview. I like that interview too with Drew. Now before that, she was modeling some of her collection of hair that she got with Portia for Gold Naked Hair. And then after that, she posted up some pictures of what she was going to be wearing on the We Sound Crazy podcast. Like I said, it was a great interview, great time to watch. That's all I have for this video. This is Abe Wesley. That ain't even tells it like a TI is. I am out.